we're back. Like it was yesterday. Like we just stopped doing this. World Championship, a couple races, and it's here again. Cody, how's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I had to rearrange, had to set the studio back up. Things had to relog into programs and, find XLRs. But it's, it's like a sequel. It's like we're like a tentpole movie series, and we're back for another year. We've got another edition coming, and we brought in some newer stars. So old ones retired out, and we're ready to franchise this thing out.
Yeah. We actually got cyclocross this weekend. We got Montana, which we'll talk about in a bit. Coming up, like the season it's here. But before we get to that, so what'd you do on your summer break?
Oh man, I did a lot actually. I like taking a break. I like taking time off. We're about to hit an intense 6 weeks of travel. So I like to decompress from cycling, from the cyclocross. It's a long season. It's a good season. Bill, I finally made it to Europe. My girlfriend and I, Emily, we went to Lisbon and we went to Barcelona. And yeah, I can't believe it's taken me this long, but I finally got over the pond. And that was awesome. I was like super excited just to be there. And of course, I was just like, okay, where am I? Going to Pro Cycling Stats, going to CX24, seeing where are the races that have been around here. But I did that, and that was awesome. And I'm like, I got it. Once again, it's like the fire. I got to get over to Belgium and Netherlands at some point in the winter, which is less appealing weather-wise.
It's not as nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not really. I mean, you're probably not. I mean, once again, it really makes me love that Spanish race that I'm blanking on for some reason. What is it? What's the Spanish race towards the end of the season? Why people were yelling at the fucking?
I know. I don't know. I can't think of it either. Boy, we are just rusty. That's all. That's all this is.
Guys, this is like let's say it's preseason. We're this weekend is out of conference games. But we'll be a fine-tuned machine in 2 weeks. I'm just scrolling.
Yeah, let's not. We just have to make sure we don't go like full Belichick on this first episode.
What does that mean?
He had his debut coaching college for North Carolina, and they got just absolutely pasted.
I forgot about that. I forgot that he's coaching North Carolina. Benidorm is the race,
yes,
folks.
Yes.
Anyway, a little more south than where I was in Barcelona. But Europe's cool. That was great. I was able to go to the mountains in Eastern Oregon with my family. If you're a listener from Oregon, you probably know where Wallowa Lake is. But it's really cool. It's out sort of the eastern part. It's next to, what is the name of this? This like the Hell's Canyon, the deepest canyon I think in the United States, deeper than the Grand Canyon. But anyway, the cool part was there's this tram that goes from the base of the little resort village and it shoots straight up in the air for 15 minutes, and you're at like this 8,000 foot peak, and it's just a completely different environment. It was really cool to do. It's such a relief after being in New Orleans all summer. So did that, saw a little bit of Oregon, saw a little bit of the beach in North Carolina. Big older I get, big time beach guy. So really enjoyed that. Even though I grew up in Oregon and California, didn't like the beaches. The water's colder. It's just not as fun. The sand's more rough. I was telling you before we started that the thing I actually really got into this summer was spelling bee. I'm sure
New York Times game.
Yeah, the New York Times game. You said you skipped that one. I used to skip it too. I was really into the Wordle connections. Then I'm like really into the Wordle again. And then I realized with spelling bee, there are hints. People use the hints. It's not considered cheating. And that just opened it up for me. My vocabulary is not great. It's not gargantuan, but spelling bee has helped, and I've had a lot of fun doing that. So, it's been a good summer. Actually, living in New Orleans, you have to leave the city in the summer. I managed to do that 3 times. And so we're here in September, cross is starting, and I feel good. I feel refreshed. I'm ready to go.
That's great.
Bill, what'd you do?
Well, what did I do? I also went to Europe. Had a nice time. We went to Italy and Greece, and then the best part was went and tried to track down Toddy in Slovenia, but he was busy because we were there like in July.
Little race going on in France.
Yeah, he had other things that he was doing. But yeah, that was awesome. Like no bike racing at all, and not as much as I've done in the past. I went down to Valley of Tears, that gravel race, and then mountain bike nationals in Roanoke, which was cool. That put on by the same folks that put on Grove Cross. Virginia's Blue Ridge was out there.
Where's that course at?
It is I don't know the name of the park. The cool but just one of they have tons of trails in Roanoke. So really really nice trails out there. And then the super cool thing that they did is they had the XCC National Championship and raced around the library in downtown Roanoke.
Oh, that's fun.
And it was kind of this attempt to create this festival atmosphere, and I think they pulled it off. I think they did. It was a really nice job. A lot of people came out. It had like that Epic Rides Fat Tire Crit vibe about it. So yeah, super successful event for the XCC, and then good racing for the XCO.
Who are national champions in the XCC?
XCC National Championships. It is Bjorn Riley and I believe Sevilla Blanc. And then Kelsey Urban and Riley Amos are the XCO champs.
Riley named Strong.
Yeah. And if I got that wrong, you can just look at the bulletin because I did a whole.
I know. I was like, I looked at the photos. I thought they were great. I was going to ask you, was Kenny or Carrie there in Roanoke for these races?
I think that more Carrie than Kenny. The XCC, him and Strohmeyer were in a group there for a while. So we had a little cross action going on.
Speaking of things you do in the summer, but to jump off Strohmeyer, my buddy who left New Orleans he went and did Green Mountain Stage Race, and I saw that Strohmeyer, I want to say he finished second on the Queen stage, big climbing stage, and I was kind of surprised to see that. Saw he did mid pack in the crit, so I kind of was wondering if that was just obviously this is preseason tune up, road racing a little safer, don't want to crash out in a non-technical circuit race crit, which my buddy who went did crash out in the non-technical circuit race crit. So I was but it was fun to see. So I was perusing the results list. I'm the guy who, if your Cat 3 buddy is racing across the country in a stagers, I'm going to refresh the results and sit there on my Saturday to see how my Cat 3 buddy did. So I was let's see how the pros are doing. So it was cool to see Stroh racing out there.
Yeah, it was good. I think Tyler and Tim at Comp Edge doing an amazing service for our cyclocross racers and giving them opportunities to race on the road as well. So Andrew was able to head up there, be a guest rider for Comp Edge. I think he stuck around and did their cross camp with them. I'm sure that's confusing a lot of people, but he still will be racing for CXD this year.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to Lichtard in Belgium and you see all the different teams sort of mingling with each other when they're doing their cross workouts in that park.
Yeah, I mean, it is a family, and so sometimes your family takes you on trips, and they you hang out with your cool friends during the fall, but in the summer you go on the trips with the family, and you wear the family T-shirts that everybody has together.
That's right.
It's stupid, and so.
So any golfing?
Yes, indeed, golfing. Golfing, folks, is still in my life. I told you earlier this year I was doing a lot of golf swing, not sort of playing golf. Golf is one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's way harder than bike racing, because bike racing you just pedal a lot and you can just get a little bit faster. I've learned that all my natural inclinations and abilities are wrong. I've had some lessons. I started playing more now though. I'm going to play on Friday for my birthday with some friends. So yeah, golf. I'm loving it. I'm way into it, and I'm excited to, once cross is kind of over for us with a lot of travel, we can still play golf here over the winter in November and December. So I'm gonna get a membership for the month and play as much as I can.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's good. Any club upgrades?
No, I have not. I've thought about it. The great thing about this is though, because I started golfing a little bit, I started talking to all my cycling friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I golf," or like, "Oh yeah, I've got golf clubs in the garage." Like everybody was like, "Yeah, we golf," and I was like, "What?" So I've collected a foursome of cycling friends. Now I've sort of built my golf community. I've taken them from cycling, and I got one friend. He was like, "Yeah, I want to play." He played, we went to the range one day. Maybe that's what it was. And the next day, he bought a new set of clubs. So I've been sort of living vicariously through my friends' upgrades. I'm still gonna game my hand-me-downs from my dad. We're gonna get that. We're gonna work on that swing a bit, and then yeah, at some point maybe next year I'll get some new clubs. My biggest purchases have been balls.
You get the new clubs, and then I mean, there's been so much change in clubs. I mean, it's like
Oh yeah, no, that's
AI
the
and
thing.
stuff. You can just mishit anything.
Yeah, no, I took the lesson. And the guy's like, "So this is what you're playing with, huh?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "These are good. Like these will work for you. You can learn on these." He's like, "At some point, you might want to upgrade." I guess it's like racing road on your round tube still bike with rim brakes, with alloy wheels. Like, yeah, you can do it, but if you got carbon, like
Well, in my experience with this, if we want to go back to like the 80s, is that you grow up playing tennis, and you got like your Wilson T2000, and all of a sudden there's like a Prince Pro, and you're like, holy cow, this thing's like twice the size, and you can basically hit it off anywhere on the surface, and it's a good shot. So that's like that's the evolution I'm looking at with golf clubs from where I last swung one to what's out there now.
Yeah, I mean it's so funny, the parallels between these two sports, and I'm constantly analyzing my golf progress through cycling. I've decided categories in cycling and how they translate to handicap in golf, and I still feel like I'm a Cat 6 golfer, which is okay. I'm okay with that. Like I'm ready to get to Cat 5, but I everything, upgrades, equipment, it all had training, drills, practice. It's all equivalent to cycling, which I think has been a help. It's been great.
But honestly, Bodie, that's the fun of it, and that's the fun of it. That's at least the first fun of it with cycling as well. And it's kind of the thing that to bring it to cyclocross that we kind of tell people is like the most fun you're going to have in cyclocross. I mean, hopefully you have it throughout your whole cycling, career. But the most fun that you'll have is when you're first trying to figure it out and you just see that progress. It's, I kind of went through that. I used to be okay at basketball, and then had knee surgeries, and then just couldn't move laterally anymore. And it was frustrating. I couldn't play. And I started playing hockey instead. I like moved over to hockey, which I never even skated before. I like moved to Minnesota. I was like, well, they're going to kick me out if I don't learn how to skate. So, there was groomed ice like next to my house for free. It was amazing. It's just like got on there and taught myself how to play or how to skate. And then, had a friend who was in a beginner hockey league that I got into, and that was the most fun I had, because I was awful. I'm still bad. I'm still really bad, but I was like super awful. And I played for a couple of years, and I got like that little bit better, that then it got frustrating again, because I was like, well, I should be able to do this, where before I was just oblivious to what good was. I mean, I know I was horrible, so I had zero pressure on myself to do anything, and it was probably the most fun I had playing hockey.
I love it.
The best thing, and I'm good at repeating stories, but the best thing about learning to play hockey and learning to skate in Minnesota is that they have these like super beginner leagues, and it's like a learn to skate, and for people who never played hockey, that's supposedly the level that these leagues are supposed to be. If you're born and raised in Minnesota, you translate that statement, I don't know how to skate and I never really played hockey, to I didn't make the travel team when I was 15. There was a guy who shattered the boards with a slap shot in my learn to skate class.
That's like when you play a slow pitch like softball league, and the guys are all played like college baseball, and
right?
You're just like, what am I doing?
Yeah, which a lot of leagues, they did this. There was a league that I played in for a little while in Virginia, where home runs were outs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, it makes the game much more enjoyable.
Yeah. The one thing is sort of like all about this is like, it's all about the fun, right? The fun you have, and trying new things is fun. And you got some survey responses, Bill, from cyclocross riders, and like a big emphasis I saw was fun. And I think that's kind of important looking towards this year, that things are changing and some things are shrinking, but like there is like this desire to have fun because at the end of the day, it is fun, right? This challenging yourself. The training process is fun to some folks. The racing process is the funnest part. You know, there's so many elements to that. Like I think it sort of like comes back to this attitude of fun and also that attitude that you have when you're doing it. And if you can sort of you can be okay with failing and like sort of just enjoying that process. It makes the whole thing more pleasurable. And it's harder to do for riders at different levels. But like I know there's a lot of listeners who are going to cross camps right now and like their local series are starting up and practices are starting. It's like, yeah, like this is the fun stuff. Like really enjoy it and like go into it with that like open mind about being bad at things. And I think you'll sort of actually grow a lot faster. And it's yeah, I think the doing golf and being really bad about it has like sort of helped me sort of understand cycling and other things in my life, and I'm thankful for that. Like I'm trying to look at it in this positive light, and it has made the game more fun. I golfed when I was younger and would get mad at bad shots, and now I'm just like, you know what? You learn from that, and you know, it's like bike racing. Like sometimes you got to go for the stupid attack because you don't know your limit or you don't know what's going to happen when you do that. And if you just always sit in the pack and don't anything, don't try stuff, don't try to hop the barriers, like you never grow. And you sort of, you fail a bunch, but then at the end, like you'll come out of that sort of stronger.
And it is, you know, just to reemphasize this, it is the genius of cyclocross, and it's and there are tools out there that are just built to be able to have your own personal success but still do it in a community way. Like cross results is the absolute best thing in the world for that, because it doesn't matter. Like winning the race has different meanings for everybody in that field. You're a masters racer, or you know, just a amateur racer. You may be the person that's winning every race or on the podium every race, but most likely if you're in your community and you're doing that, it's going to be the same people every week, and you're either going to be that in that group or you are not. But the great thing is that there are people in your group, wherever that may be. My group a lot of the time was like, you know, 15 to 20. Like that's where I was. And we were there, and I was racing the same people. And when I beat the guy that beat me the week before, that was awesome. And that was a win. You know, I love to be on the podium, love to win a race, but you know, that's not where I was when I was racing, but I still enjoyed it. I still loved it. And that's I think more of the attitude that we need to recapture in this sport, and which will keep it going on longer, and we can, you know, definitively prove that cross isn't dead, which it's evidently it is from what we're hearing from our gravel friends. So you know, that's kind of what a thing that I'd love to emphasize. And we talk a lot about the people who are trying to race World Cups and race at Worlds, and the people that are trying against really tough odds in this sport and in this environment to make a living racing cyclocross, you know, and that's really hard. That's extremely hard, and it takes a lot of things going your way. But just going out there and racing the sport and enjoying it is pretty easy. And what I want to try to avoid is getting into situations that we had a decade ago, where I can remember, you know, when we were I think it was DCCX, and I'm getting this email from this guy. And my thing at when we're running the amateur races, we just got rid of prize money. I was like, again, because it's the same, you're just paying the same 3 to 5 to 7, 10 people every race. And it didn't make sense. Like, this is an amateur sport. This is beer league softball. You don't need a payout. You know, you don't need $50 or whatever at the end of the day. I know it feels good. I know it's great, but it's also like, it's unnecessary. And I remember getting an email from someone, and this stuck in my head because it was so great. And he was a masters racer, and the email said that he wasn't going to come to our race because we didn't offer prize money. And since this was just basically a training race for him, it didn't really, you know, it wasn't worth the cost of him to come to our race if he wasn't able to go home and recoup that, since he was going to win our race in his training race and be able to train for the races that were important to him. And that stuck with me because that guy is just my hero. Because that kind of hubris as an amateur racer is just fantastic. I mean, to have that kind of confidence, I just was like, man, I need that guy as like my mentor. And I say this all facetiously because that is the stupidest damn thing in the world. But those are real emails that we got. And my hope is that that attitude maybe possibly is changing a little bit and we can get back to just having fun. It's the same thing with you don't need a pit bike. You know, you can yell at me for that, but I think just go out there and have fun. When you get a mechanical, come back the next day and race again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's start with this, Bodie. We got the season coming up. You specifically did an amazing job last year doing the IG coverage of the USCX. What did we call it?
The Not Nothing Tour.
The Not Nothing Tour.
Yeah, I'm going to get shirts made for the Not Nothing Tour 2024, and we'll have all the dates on the back. And limited edition, might make one with a Sharpie. I got to get J Money, his t-shirt designer, to make me one. J Money, you still around?
We've had a request. They want to make the unofficial single speed Pan Am championship jerseys in the style of J Money for
that's
Sunday.
Well, that's easy to do,
Sunday
right?
at DCCX. Yeah, so we'll see if that comes through. Yeah, so that was last year, and then this year, a story as old as time, Bodie. We were trying to put together a live stream, and for USCX and Pan Ams, those were the kind of the races and events we were focused on, and we thought it was going to happen. We got pretty far, and it isn't happening for reasons, which is a bummer. But because I feel like there's a need for something as far as coverage goes, you and I have been recruited to provide video coverage in the old CXTV style, cyclocross television style, for the USCX. Doing this on our own, not funded by the USCX, and we have our own fund, and Pan Ams as well. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was out. I was like, what am I going to do this fall then if I'm not going to just be there with my cell phone running around like a crazy person? But just when I thought I was out, I get called back in, and I said, "Yep, coach, put me back in. I'm ready to go." So yeah, we're going to document it 2-camera style. We're going to bring our video cameras out, a little bit upgrade from the cell phone coverage. Pretty excited. We've kind of talked about how we're going to edit these a little bit differently than maybe in past, but try to get the key points of the race, get the coverage, give you something to watch, give you some actual race coverage, a little more, than highlights, but some little bit of interviews, and put them out quick. So we're going to be furiously shooting and then back to the hotel or wherever we're staying and slicing and dicing and getting you stuff pretty soon. So it's not a live stream, but I feel like we have a pretty good history of doing this in so many iterations that I think we're going to make a really good product. And I'm excited to get out there. I'm excited, it's kind of like back to school, see everybody again when we get to Roanoke. Say hey to Frank and everybody there and all the really awesome people I met there the first year. And yeah, we're back in it. So CXTV, you have posted in the bulletin, the new website, looking pretty sharp. Logo looks pretty good.
Logo. Yep. Yeah. So I think just to go off what you were saying there. Yeah. So our goal, maybe I shouldn't put any goals out there, Bodie. I should see what we can produce. But the goal is to do
goals are good.
Again, not just like a sizzle reel, not just some highlights. We want to do extended highlights. We want to do extended highlights that are going to give you a good idea of what happened in the race. We're going to be doing commentating on top of that. We're also going to try to get in some course previews with some of our riders out here, and as Bodie said, interviews and maybe some extra bonus stuff. So the goal is to try to, in lieu of a live stream, at least give an amount of coverage that is above not nothing.
Yeah, definitely above not nothing. I agree. Live stream ish,
Yeah.
Highlight plus, live stream light. We're just spitballing here, but yeah, you're gonna have something you're gonna be able to watch. You're gonna see moves happen. You're gonna see.
And these will live on YouTube on the Wide Angle Podium channel.
I'm sure everybody here is a subscriber, but if you're not, hit the bell. No, hit the subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button.
Hit the
like and
bell so you get
subscribe.
notified.
That's right.
A lot of YouTube golf for the summer too, Bill.
That's good. It's good stuff. So like technique stuff, or you just like long balling
No,
it?
I
or?
didn't. So I was really not sure what YouTube golf was, and I watched some technique stuff in the beginning, but then I realized these YouTube players just play, and people just watch these people. They watch the YouTubers play. And I was like, this can't. Like, how am I gonna? Like, how is this gonna be interesting? But if you're a YouTube personality, you probably have a personality, and it's been pretty fun, engaging. They're all really good, so they are good shots. I was actually going to send you a text, Bill, to you and Tim, that they did a YouTube like scramble with the players from Live, and it was hilarious. What's his name? Bubba Watson, funny guy. Good stuff, good commentary, a lot of shit talking. So anyway, yeah, I'm in my YouTube era, so I'm excited to be back in it.
Nice. All right, we got racing going on this coming weekend. It is country cross,
Not cross country.
country cross
In
in Montana.
Missoula.
Yeah. Well,
Whoa.
what is it? Houston? What's the town?
Houston.
Houston.
Sorry, I'm gonna try and
Probably pronouncing that wrong.
yeah. Houston. Huson? I don't know. You tell me, y'all.
Well, Houston, we have a problem. I was going to go to this race. I was like, look, first race of the year, may as well go out there and see what's going on. Enjoyed being out there for Pan Am's last few years, and I was all set to do it. And I'm trying to get a flight to Missoula, and it's like, I going fly United normally, but just nothing, 0 flights. So I was like, oh, let me try all the other airlines. Nothing. Like 40-hour layover in Denver, and then they could get you there like Sunday afternoon. Like, what is going on? Well, it turns out that they're redoing the runways at the Missoula airport that weekend coming up, so no one can fly in there, which is a huge bummer for this race.
Yeah.
So I was all set to do this. I was all set to go out there to Missoula to check out this race. You know what I'm doing instead, Bodie?
Play some bets on TV or on football, college
I'll
football
play
games.
that anyway. But I'm going to Philadelphia to see the band James.
Okay.
Yeah, they're playing Laid in full.
I don't know James.
Well, that's because you're not in your 50s.
Okay. What kind of music is James?
James is like kind of like alt rock. You would know there are a couple songs you would. But yeah, they're doing they're one of these old bands out there playing. So that's what I'm doing instead of cyclocross.
Yeah, I wonder how many people would fly into Spokane, because you could do that, hop on the old hot interstate, and but yeah, I don't. I'm wondering, is this airport snafu like affect, or are riders wanting to go and not be able to go there? Are they getting different flights?
It's a tough. I will say that I'm glad that they're doing this race. I'm glad that there are more races out west. It's we asked for some Instagram questions, and one of them was it's the same old stuff about asking about like West Coast races and why there aren't any. We're doing better. We got this race, and then in November we have a race in Colorado, in Boulder. So at least 2 races that are farther west. But it's also, I think, it's always this race to be first, which I get, and I think it just keeps getting pushed earlier and earlier because people don't want to have a conflict in the schedule, and we do actually have some overlap this year, which we haven't had for the past several years. So there are races on the same weekends, which we can talk about later as well. So I can see why, well, if I just, push it out earlier, which I think is what they did, that's kind of the goal. But for a lot of people, it's a tough one to get to, especially when the airport is closed. And, Englewood was okay last year, but it wasn't like the biggest turnout. And I think that, we're a couple days out here, Bodie, and what are we looking at for that registration?
So I'm seeing the men's race. We've got, they don't have a number here, but it's over 10. It's not huge. There are some names I didn't. Tobin Ortenblad registered. Yeah. Wasn't sure. We always don't know if he's come in. Scott
it's like I stepped on it. It's like the retiree race with Tobin and
Scott Funston, who retired last year.
I don't think he would say that. He stopped racing UCI races.
Right.
Although he's doing this one,
he is doing this one.
and he's also, I was happy to see in the survey answers, he'll be doing Pan Ams.
Right. He said that Pan Am's was his big goal. So, I mean, hey, that's one way of looking at it, right? Like, race when you can, what makes sense for you, do your training, put a big goal on Pan Am's. We know he's like that race. He's second, I think this is probably his best at Pan Am. So that's probably one he'd like to get. So yeah, I mean, good to see him on there.
Did you see Tobin's goal for this year for cyclocross?
No. Did he?
This is a really good one to meet that. I hope this stays true, but he really wants to get back into cyclocross, not this year, but next year. So he wants to build up UCI points this year so that he's not, starting from the back of the grid. So it's a good, really good opportunity. I mean, he went out to Gravel Worlds and was like 11th or something.
Yeah, I mean, he was grabbing points early in the season last year too. So yeah, why not? He just responded. I have been refreshing this list to see when riders would respond, and so good to see him on there.
Yeah, timing wise, this is always the weird thing with putting these things into space. So we're recording this on, what day is it? Wednesday. And the rider survey that we do every year on the bulletin of all the responses for that will probably get out into the world before, or this maybe a little before this publishes.
Okay.
So people may have already read those responses while they're listening to this, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's good to see a lot of these names on the list. So much excitement about cross, which is, it's always that way, right? Like those who, the cross diehards, like they're diehard because they really love it. And that's how you sort of have a long time in the sport. So yeah, good to see Tobin on that start list. In the men's, so in the women's, I love this website. I love trying to find the riders. Let's see. Yeah, I think we have 8 in the women's race right now.
Good names in there though.
Yeah, Sydney McGill, where we left off last year, she was leaving the team. Right?
Well, I mean, Cervelo's not a team,
and they're no longer,
unfortunately.
A team. Right.
I believe, and Sydney can correct us, but I think she's privateering this year.
Yeah. Who else do we have? Anna McGiley, Kaya Musgrave, some other names I don't know. I'm excited to learn about. So yeah. So we'll have some racing this weekend. Cross starts for my birthday. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then after that we get right into it. We're in Roanoke for the USCX, and we're into our schedule. Because of all my rambling here, we're already at like 40 minutes. Should we get into these Instagram questions? I think that could take us through. Yeah.
Well, one thing I wrote down a long time ago, but
yes.
For the USCX, Annenbacher confirmed. That was sort of a question she had last year. We asked her, would she come back? She wasn't sure, but I think after racing the 4 weeks, she really enjoyed it. And so good to see that she'll be back.
All right. Why is it impossible to get any points racing cross on the West Coast?
So UCI points? Why can't you get any? I think you need a UCI race.
Yeah, if it's UCI points, because there's no UCI races. If it's USA cycling points, you need to be in regions that actually have USA cycling races, and not other governing bodies. And then you need enough people in your category that are of a level that you can get points.
And then you need some of them to travel to other places to get lower points to then strengthen your field. So yeah, it could be tough on the West Coast.
All right, Alan Schroeder, who will win Nats? This is too early. We can't answer this now. Do you want a preseason? Do you want to just put your cards out there preseason?
Gosh, who's gonna win Nats? Vita. I'm just gonna returning champ. I'm gonna say Brunner. I like a not back to back, but a rotating the battle. Every other year we have a new winner.
Brunner is not a bad call. I mean, any year, but also at a place that suits his strengths. Fayetteville does not suit Strohmeyer's strengths as much. It's a place that he got 4th place in a World Cup race against the best in the world. So definitely some good feelings for Eric on that course. I think if Vita shows up, she's definitely going to be your favorite, which kind of brings up big headline we haven't talked about yet, Katie Klaus,
Right.
no longer racing cyclocross, concentrating on school, wants to go to medical school. Yeah, another top women U.S. racer who's not continuing. But you know what? She had an amazing career, and she has more world championships than many of us combined will
Yeah.
ever have.
She had a great, her post, go read her post if you haven't seen on Instagram. A lot of good photos over the years. Cool to see her very young, but that just illustrates the point that she's been in the game for quite a while and talked about how hard it was to financially, right? And so she has new opportunities and experience, things to gain with that education, and it was excited for it. And that's cool, right? Like, you got to go where the passion is, and riders like that don't counter out. Maybe not this year, but I bet we see her again sometime, depending on number.
I remember doing the USA Cycling media coverage for mountain bike nationals and snowshoe, and she won one of her 30 whatever national championships. I think it was probably junior. And I interviewed her, and my first question for her was, is this your first time winning a national championship? And she was so nice that she got all flummoxed and didn't want to like answer. And
First time.
and I just kind of laughed and said, I know who you are. It was good. Super nice person.
Yeah,
Hope
Katie's
we do get to see her out there, because it's fun to have at races.
indeed, and great to talk to after a race too.
Yeah. So yeah, all right.
Did you pick?
Well,
Are you gonna pick? I picked. I put it out there.
I mean, I'm picking Strohmeyer.
Yeah, great pick. I like it.
You know, it's coming from behind. Oh, what is your expectation and hope for the sport this year, individual and operations level? I think that it's easy to get down on the sport. It's easy to go on Instagram on your gravel podcast and say that cross is dead. But that's not really the reality. And I think that it's always going to be there. And I think on the national level, there are a lot of people who are as volunteers almost,
Yeah.
and sponsors and patrons of the sport, who are doing a ton of work through the Mud Fund and through teams and through everything else to continue to try to make Team USA better and more competitive. And there is a lot of work that goes into that, and to get athletes training and to try new things and to get people more time in Europe. And I don't think that there's an appreciation for everything that's put into that with zero budget, and really raising the money and being able to do this on our own for the stakeholders in the sport. And I think that is growing. I think that it will continue. I think we have a lot of young riders that can make something happen, and continue to figure out how to provide those opportunities to make that happen. So this is another year, and it's another opportunity to show up on the world stage.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The question, what was it to you? It was
Expectations and hope for the sport this year.
Oh.
I mean, the sport as a whole too, the same thing. There's always going to be struggles with it. You know, the contracting World Cup, it's still just we're moving back to just being into Belgium, but that could all change if it gets into the Olympics. So who knows? I don't know. I'm going to go into this season optimistic.
Yeah, I was gonna. My institutional hopes were that the airlines get me there on time. No, I just think it's sort of in sort of looking at it from sort of my perspective, and what I'm going to be doing is that I hope that I can sort of like provide really good stories, sort of document. So, I mean, there's a lot of effort that goes to being at the top, and we talked about the fun part, but also there is a lot of work, right? And so when the riders put themselves in line and have a good race, I want to make sure that my hopes and my goals is that we show it really well, and we get the story out, and people have a place to go, click the button, watch the video, see it, and it's there, it's documented, right? And also sometimes there is something nice about archiving things, right? And someone was talking to me about looking for footage of old riders from from Ryan Gerbone, a long time ago. And it's like, put it on YouTube. It's there. Like proof of existence. Like it's something. It is worth documenting. It's there. It's archived. Those are my goals. Those are my hopes that we do my camera on the break.
That. I'm all for that. All right, here's a good one. Zone 5 promotions. Major Taylor and Really Rad are on the same weekend. This is a tell me where you're from without telling me where you're from. Only 13 hours away from each other.
Bill, it's only 11 hours from New Orleans to Tulsa, and I've made that drive for Tulsa Tough before.
That's what I'm saying. If you are like in Texas and you're in, these places where races are now, there a 10, 11, 12, 13 hour drive doesn't seem like it's that far, I guess. I don't see that as that much of an overlap. I was thinking like if you were one of these Belgian racers and you saw that and you're like only 13 hours, like that's a 3-day trip. Right. You can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the riders have gone sort of back and forth on this, the overlapping UCI weekends and what that means for points and points hunting and whatever. But like, to me, like geographically, yes, it does feel far enough away. And so will every UCI rider be, they can't be at both races, obviously, but as we're seeing teams targeting, series or certain events, like they maybe wouldn't have anyway. So if those who are looking for UCI points, as the earlier question was asked, there are more points up to grab. It also allows other riders to sort of move up, be up in the forefront a little bit. That's how I look at it. I mean,
there was a time where we had 3 races on a weekend. The place that we're at right now is that we have this 12 to 14 races. There aren't enough weekends to have all these racers. So you have to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to tell a promoter that's willing to put on a UCI race, which is becoming rarer as we go on here, much different than where we were at a decade or so ago, and say, you can't have your race, or we can do this where we have more than one race on the same weekend. Now, this isn't poo-pooing your question because I think it's a good one, and it would be great if one of these races was in LA and the other race was in Massachusetts. Awesome. But that's not really what we have right now. And that also comes down to, you can only have races at venues where promoters want to have races. You can't force somebody to have a race. And there's no money to I don't know how you do it unless there's somebody in that community who wants to have a race. So we'd love to have more West Coast races, but we have to find those people in those communities that want to actually put on a UCI event. And so far that's been difficult to do in the last several years. So I don't know. Is it better just to have one race a weekend and then you tell one of these races they can't have an event this year?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not.
Georgia is not having their race this year because they didn't want to be on the same weekend as Colorado. I think that's kind of what happened. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to these scheduling things. Everyone always has opinions about the scheduling. I can tell you again, like everything else, it's really hard to do. It's really hard to figure out how these things work out the best. I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, speaking of California, will you cover any of the 42 cyclocross races in Northern California this season? Rodeo Cross is a must. Rodeo Cross looks awesome, but we kind of concentrate on the UCI events because we only have so much time. Because this is the thing. We're just talking about somebody who needs to have a UCI race in California. You got 42 races. One of those promoters, 10 of those promoters get together, put on a UCI race. Like, I'm not going to cover the 30 40 races in the Mid-Atlantic either. It's just not
right.
We want people to, but I would love for other people to cover those races and cover local races, and we hope that they do. I love local racing. Go to as many as I can, but
you can do it with a cell phone.
But you can also if you go to cxairs.com, there is a calendar up there. You can see all these races. Just click on the little calendar thing. Put some time and money into consolidating all the cyclocross races into one place. This is, and I know you can go to Bike Rage and find the same thing. We use the information from Bike Reg and just have sort of given it, and it links back to Bike Reg. But what I thought was cool is just to have just cyclocross in one spot, so you can just scroll down it. So we have it there, and it's amazing how many races there are.
There is a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's cool, right? Like, it's like you said, Bill, there's not going to cover the 40 races in California. You should, but also like, yeah, are we going to cover the 40 in Ohio? And no, we're not. And, we did like, I was just thinking like, there is like, you have to cap it somewhere for us and what we do. And I think that even having this many races, we don't even cover all the UCI races. So,
yeah. Okay, what do we got next? Preseason interest seems a bit higher this year than past years in Colorado.
great.
How is it in Mabra?
How is it, Bill?
I think which is where I'm at, Mid-Atlantic Bike Racing Association. I think that's awesome, Colorado. Maybe having, Pete having that UCI race in Boulder and Boulder Juniors putting on that race. Maybe that's piqued some interest in local racing, which is awesome. Again, another argument for why you should bring a UCI race to your community, because it does uplift all of the other races. And I know we get that in this region too, with Charm City and with DCCX and even with Go Cross. The production level at a UCI races is higher than most local races, so it's fun to go to. Even though you're not racing in the UCI categories, it's fun to go to and see these bigger events, and then you can hang out and watch the best we have in North America race as well. So those are all cool things. And if that, it's cool to say that you went and you raced on that UCI course. So again, you're competing against me. I'm competing against that 20 to 25, and that's what I'm doing. But it's fine because it's on a cool course in maybe some place that I'm not going every year. If you have the means for it, and I know this is a privileged thing to say, go travel and see some other UCI races too, and bring your bike and go racing them. It's super cool. There's categories for everyone. So do that and then go back and crush your local race.
Yeah, bring those points with you too.
All right. Lauren wants to know what song should be on her warm-up list from you. I'm assuming she's asking you, buddy.
Hang on, let me see what I've listened to recently. I'm not a I feel like I've been like, let's see. Oh, I know. Here we go. This is she needs to listen to Free Will by Rush off Permanent Waves.
Whoa. Wow. Okay. Good song. I like that.
Lauren, have you heard of the band called Rush? Okay. I'm not like one of those like really big Rush fans, but when I was in high school, my locker had a Rush sticker on it. And I said, Mom, do you know the band Rush? And she's like, yeah, definitely. So I went and got a few CDs, and I think Permanent Waves was the first one I bought. Obviously, I heard all the Rush songs on the radio, listened to a lot of classic rock, but that's where that was my first album. So do that, Lauren.
Oh man, I am blank. There is a song that was always on my I know what it is. Indestructible by Rancid.
Yeah.
2 minutes long.
That's
Get that one right before you go to the start line.
It's funny that you were talking about going to see the band James. I was just, sometimes I'll go down like little music rabbit holes and like what was this musician in this band, and I'll go listen to that. And so I was listening to James Gang the other night. Some good
Joe Walsh.
Huh? Yeah. That's where it started. It started with Joe Walsh. Yeah. So anyway,
can MVDP win number 8? Yes. Next question. Lauren wants to know who's your
wait, hang on. So wait,
what?
Wait, we gotta. Okay, I was listening to the Escape Collective podcast, Cycle, and they were talking about Matthew Vanderpoel racing, and then that same day going and playing golf, and they were talking about his golf swing, and I was like, this is my territory. You guys don't golf. It was pretty funny. They were pretty charitable about him, and they were talking about golf, and I appreciated that they were going there. But his Vanderpoel swing is getting better. I will say that. So I'm curious to see where it'll be once he's got the 8th. I bet it's gonna get a lot better.
Hip rotation not a big thing in cycling.
It's not. No, I'm so bad at that.
I can see that where that'd be a hindrance because you're working straight ahead.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of twisting. You're doing something wrong for twisting. All right. Lauren is just loading up his questions. Who's your underdog prediction for men's and women's? I think it's a self-serving question.
Definitely not Lauren because she's an overdog.
There you go.
I have no idea. It's going to be like, it's always going to be this mountain biker who comes in. Like, who are some of the mountain bikers? who was the rider who was like
Dan English.
Dan, good underdog. I think it was Ivan Sippy.
Ivan Sippy responded. I like that. He responded to the survey. It's good to see him in there.
Yeah, when is he planning on racing? Nationals.
Good.
No, I know. So it's like that. It's one of those
Love it.
situations. Yeah, I'm picking someone like that.
All right, GRRTT. After I post this, finally ready for CX TV. No question. Just glad you're back and CX is back. Oh, that's so nice. I like that. All right, here's a question for you. Join a team or be a privateer? What's the better move in pro USCX today?
Like, well, first of all, like, I guess if you could find a team that would take you, that's probably a good move. But it does seem like a lot of riders are having success with privateering. Maybe that's sort of I think that's, from my experience as a sort of outsider viewer, if you are someone who likes making the content and likes kind of doing all that other outside hustle stuff and you enjoy it, like, Kerry Warner is someone I think of, then I think maybe that is your route. But I don't know. Bill, I feel like you have more insight into this.
Here's what I will say. And if I am wrong, then I am beyond happy. I don't think that there is a rider on a team that races US cyclocross who gets a salary. Zero. There was a time when there were at least a handful, if not more. Back when Stu was around, we had CannondaleCyclocrossWorld.com, when Jeremy had his Rafa Focus and team, there were, even going back to Saturn and everything else, there were Cliff, there were teams out there that were paying people to race their bikes. That era is gone. So that means you have to look at the intangibles for team versus privateer, and its support basically is the biggest thing that you're looking at. If you are a self-sufficient privateer, I don't know. I mean, it all depends. It's cool to be on a team. It's fun, just cycling. Even though it's an individual sport, it can be a team sport too. It's good to have people to lean on, good to have support, good to have mentors. All of that stuff is really, really useful. But is it 100% necessary to be successful? I don't think so. Magali's a
very good example.
Privateer.
Right.
This is a hard one. How do we support the U23 and elite riders who struggle with funding? It kind of goes back to one of the rants I had here a few minutes ago, just about what we're doing in the country. And I think it's just, I think there are some grants that you can apply to. There's some programs that are starting up, but it's really hard, and you have to spend your own money, and that's kind of the only way to make it happen right now. We are sending juniors over and helping a little bit. We there's subsidies for worlds. There's a little bit for World Cup stuff, but it's an investment on your part to have to do this, and that stinks. But that's just a reality. How do we change that? Give money to the Mud Fund. Russell Adams, the Mud Fund, is doing an amazing job and is raising funds. Bodie and I both contribute to the Mud Fund. We my whole thing is like, if I want to criticize the program, if I want to criticize USA Cycling, I better be invested in it. And so we are. And I want to be supportive more than critical, but that's just, I think, an important thing. If you want to have a say in this, then you got to put your money where your mouth is. I will say, Bodie, that if you are going to give money to the Mud Fund, one, just go to that Mud Fund website, but also if you just go to the just general US Cycling Fund, make sure that you earmark that money for the Mud Fund, because if you don't say it on there, they'll just grab it for the general fund, which it's fine to support cycling, but
right.
We want that money going for cyclocross.
But yeah, if you're looking for ways to support those U23s, juniors, help them.
I think that's the biggest one.
Right.
Like, we can, this is all community-based stuff. And even given, $100, I'm not even, that's a lot of money. I get it. That helps. Like, all of this helps. And it's at times, I think the Mud Fund was in a weird spot. What Russell's doing with it, I think he's transparent. I think he's open. I think there are a lot of stakeholders there that are not part of USA Cycling who are helping decide what's best for those funds. And I am 1,000% behind what that organization is doing now. Okay. Which domestic cyclocross courses, no matter how obscure, are your favorites and why?
Well, it's going to be some Well, okay. Here's the absolute most obscure course. There is I probably talked about it in the show. There is a beach in New Orleans that is closed off to the public now. It's private, but we threw a bandit cross race there, and I looked at the Google satellite to figure out there's this pile of white sand that was there that's been there for years, and I think they used it to keep the sand on the beach. And my friends threw a band across there, and the pile was so big that you could ride up on it, and then you could ride down it, and there was a chute. It wasn't. I called it the Cajun Coke side, but it wasn't. It was small. It wasn't big, but it was loose. I mean, like you got a 100th of a taste of what they feel like going downhill in sand. And then you actually raced along the lake, the beach. It was wet pack sand. It was perfect for riding. There was some grass sections. There was a levee. There was a hill. There was a little twisty, woody section. Fantastic venue. Most obscure venue you've ever heard of. You've never heard of this venue. That's my favorite. Beyond that, I mean, I think I haven't been to any other. I mean, I've been to most of the UCI races, so I don't know. I don't feel like they're obscure enough. I think it's hard for me to pick a favorite because there's so many good ones. I think that it's all some are got good features and not great vibes. Some have like really great vibes and so features. I can't pinpoint one yet. Ask me, at the end of the UCX. Actually, you know what? Ask me after Pan Am. So my first time there. I'll give you an updated list.
Okay. For me, if you want obscure, okay, I'm going to name some that may not exist anymore. Belenky Junkyard Cross was amazing in Philadelphia.
I've seen videos that seem really fun.
I my first foray into, or one of them, into video. I did a short film on Belenky Junkyard Cross, probably on my YouTube page somewhere. Got into my first film festival and my last. So that was one, and then I think just locally for me in the Mid Atlantic, again, one that doesn't, sadly, the venue doesn't exist. The race still does, but Ed Sander Memorial Cyclocross, that was in Taneytown in the early years. The back nine of Ed Sander, which was just insane jungle cross, was one of my favorite places. I think that Bruce Buckley's race, Capital Cross Classic in Virginia, in Reston, Virginia, Lake Fairfax, Virginia, is in just one of the best events of the year. The end of the season party, just really, really fun to go out there right before nationals. And DCCX. I mean, come on out to DC. It is a unique venue. We're racing in the Armed Forces Retirement Home in downtown DC. You can't beat it. I love that venue, and it's a 10-minute bike race from my house. Bike ride.
That's the best kind of venue. I've got two more, and I thought about it. I tried to click through. Well, since you mentioned Belenky Junkyard Cross, I did do my first year cross in Birmingham, the Sloss Cross, and part of it went through. It was like kind of under like an overpass, but it was next to the Sloss furnaces, which Birmingham is a metal forging town, I suppose, and so it had something to do with metal forging. So, and then they had a little cutty tree section with all sorts of like weird, spooky things. I think it was like I won the C race, and as soon as I got across the finish line, the promoter was like, "That's your last C race," and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "All right, like that's cool." Like I was a Cat 5, but I was like, "All right, I don't want to ever be called a sandbagger," but it was just a unique, like just my first season is like, oh, this is what cross can be. And then I raced an event in Houston. That was my first like big like travel. We drove 5 hours, 5 guys in a Subaru, not a Forester, but a smaller one, 5 bikes. And we drove, raced the next day. And it was like in this park that was like a bowl. And I just remember thinking like there was like 50 riders in my field. It was just so brand new and exciting for me, and it was really hard because you like went up and down these hills, and then there was this like giant staircase, and of course there was hand ups, and you're just like, oh my god, I'm grabbing dollar bills, I'm like grabbing beers, and then like racing across these inclines. Of course there was a volleyball pit because it was a city park, so you raced across the sand. It had everything. It was one of the first ones, so I can't remember the name of that race. It was like Houston something, but shout out to that venue. It didn't happen the year after that. So
Fantastic. Guess one more that partially doesn't exist. Charm City, which I love, still a great, national level course. But oh man, when we used to be able to race on the other side of the road. So when you're there and you have the finishing straight on the right side of the finishing straight, and there used to be
yeah.
half of the course, and that was sick. Those were great years. All right, let's see. Let's do a couple more of these, and we got to get out of here. There seems to be a lot of turnover in U.S. cyclocross across all categories. Expand. It's hard. It's hard to stay in it. It's hard to fund it. It's hard to continue. I mean, that's just bottom line. So there's always going to be turnover. Gravel is always calling. Black, tan, or red sidewalls on tires. Which is fastest?
Okay. Well, first of all, I guess this is a cross podcast. It's like red side walls. So I don't know who said this. It's probably no one said this originally, but if you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you play good or well. So I think that applies to speed. I don't care what the aero nerds say. If you look cool, you're going to go fast. Tan, number one, most fastest.
I'm with you on the
sidewall.
tan. I'm with you on the tan. Got your Dugast, your FMBs, just you get that good just stencil just stamped on the side of that thing. Yeah.
It's classic. And hopefully there's a man with holding a cigarette, grasping your wheel, walking to the pit.
I think that's it. I think we did it.
Okay. Yeah. Working out some of the kinks, but the show's back
hang on. Wait. We just got a
last minute entry.
Yeah. Is Wout really washed?
This is a constant debate in my chat group, and I'm sure it is in your chat group. Watching Wout over the tour, whatever race he did where he was leading out Matt Brennan, he was sort of being, I don't know. He did win on the Champs. I think what I said to the group was that he might be over the hill. He might be. He might have reached the peak of his prowess. He's got 2 kids. He's crashed really hard. I think it kind of takes your mind out of a bit. But he's going to have like when you look back at his Palmares, I mean, they're great. There'll be 1 tour of his Palmares is what any rider would want. 3 world champions in cross, right? So my hope is that there's more to come from Wout, especially in cross. I think I think he could do good if he did focus more on cross. Like, I don't know, figure out how to do it with the season and how the training works. But maybe, I don't know. Still a fan.
Started this video series. I'm going to roll out here soon, which I'll say the title that I have now. Who knows if this will be the title when it comes out there, but it's basically something along the lines of what your dad goes on about when he goes on about cyclocross. Just for all of these things that you've heard about from these olds like me, and maybe explaining them to a new generation so they just don't hear the words but don't know what they mean. And one main ones is the USGP, and I've that's going to be the first one that released. But in the conversations I was having about the USGP to try to explain it, why that was important and what it means to cyclocross, is we're talking about Louisville Worlds, and Wout, Matthew, I believe, were juniors in that race, and it just blows my mind that come cyclocross, Wout's going to be 31 for this year. We've just seen his whole career. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, time goes by. We've been doing this a long time, but yeah, it's just wild that it's like really honestly seen his entire career. I still think he's got something left in the tank. Old guy still got it. And that last stage of the tour was just
so
one
good.
of the best days of racing to watch.
Oh my God.
So much fun just seeing, one, that they neutralized the race so that Toddy was given the opportunity to race and did not have to play it safe. And then just for the one guy to crack him, being Wout was just so much fun. Maybe I'm just wishing this into reality, but I'm pretty sure he's saying that he's looking forward to the winter and racing. So we may see Cyclocross Wout return. And if he comes in there motivated and in shape, he's still gonna be up front.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, right? I think there's plenty of wins for him to grab there, and like I said last year, I think get in some of these crosswinds, get some victories, get your confidence back, feel the mojo, the adoring fans, give us something, and then yeah, parlay that into a really good road season and finally get Flanders, get Roubaix, then
Yeah,
quit.
sounds good. We should leave it there.
Yeah.
This has been fun. I didn't realize I had this much to say.
It's always like that. That's
It's
how it
good to
is. I
get
mean,
back into it.
I think that's the thing about cross, right? Like every year we do this, and sometimes sometimes we repeat ourselves. We're talking about the same things. Some of these questions have been asked multiple years, but I think there's always either new ways to look at them or sort of new wrinkles that pop up. And I'm happy to be back with you chatting about it. Happy to see everybody coming up in 2 weeks and kind of get that community like vibe going again. I know that a lot of the folks on Instagram love to DMS and tell us what's going on or respond to things, and excited for that. I've missed the CX fam over the summer. So yeah, let's go.
Well, I missed chatting with you, Bodie, so I'm happy we're back into it. We'll be back next week post Montana to talk about what happened there and the upcoming USCX series. Yeah, this was a good one. We're back in it. Talk to you soon.